Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 222 based on novel. So let's start. Within the membrane wall, Lord Mo-Man was concentrated on studying the stone heart, while Luo Feng sat cross-legged nearby, assisting with protection. Looking at that stone heart, Luo Feng was quite curious, but he dared not use the power of life and death to touch it. Instead, he cautiously let a sliver of thought penetrate, trying to sense a thing or two. As the thought penetrated, he sensed the terrifying fluctuations emanating from the stone heart, and with Luo Feng's knowledge, he could not comprehend the mysteries of these fluctuations. His thought perceived the stone heart itself, feeling an infinite heaviness. This heaviness surpassed everything Luo Feng knew about life forms. Even Lord Wulan and the initial ancestor were not as substantial as the stone heart. Nothing to do with life or destruction, I completely cannot understand. Luo Feng was somewhat puzzled, unlike the corpse materials of those ancestors, with relatively stable secret patterns. I can at least distinguish different categories. But the mysteries I perceive in this stone heart are fluctuating and changing. If one does not understand the fluctuation path, they cannot comprehend the changes. Luo Feng gently shook his head. The threshold for enlightenment is genuinely high. Even Mo-Man, who mastered the primordial fluctuation Tao, needed my assistance to reach here. One can guess that the enlightenment threshold is extremely high. But the stronger the mysterious land, the higher the threshold to see the core. Like the land of eternity, although Luo Feng and others could take a seat in the land of eternity, none could see its core. In the abyss of destruction, there have only been 3 spots for entering the mountain of destruction. Even till now, the core has not been found. It is only known that passing the 7 layers of test can make one master the abyss of destruction. For the fire prison wall, only the initial ancestor can cross it by themselves. As for the core, it is also unseen. Compared to those 3 places, the fluctuation land, where one can see the core, is already not bad. Since Luo Feng could not make sense of it, he no longer wasted time and instead focused on his combat techniques. The combat techniques I created by combining the primordial life and death Tao and the primordial blade path are only 4 types. I am also continuing to perfect the 5th one, the clone battle technique. Luo Feng continued his improvements. The 2 of them should have entered the fluctuation land. The cold-faced youth named Starlight looked into the distance, although he could not spy on the fluctuation land, because Mo-Man had once invited him to help. He knew the periodic cycle of the appearance of the fluctuation land. That time, he accompanied Mo-Man, yet his temporal techniques were useless in the fluctuation land, and the help he provided to Mo-Man was very limited. In the end, they still could not reach the core of the fluctuation land. Since they have not appeared for such a long time, perhaps they could enter the core. Starlight smiled slightly. In my judgment, the fluctuation land should be an intermediate mysterious land. Some ancestors will hide their methods. For instance, does Shoju control a mysterious world? A bit more detailed intelligence about the hermit? Does the Pu Cheng ancestor control a mysterious world? These are difficult to verify. But based on known information, only the infinite snake ancestor controlling the infinite world can be considered an intermediate mysterious world. The infinite snake ancestor successfully refining it may have taken advantage of the infinite world's nurturing of life. After all, even world-level infinite great serpent inclinations can leverage the power of the infinite world, capable of descending upon any place within the endless primordial space, and can also return. The infinite snake ancestor can be considered the first to control an intermediate mysterious land. I wonder who will be the second to achieve it. Starlight mused. I'll ask Luo Feng for help once his combat techniques become more mature. Starlight's understanding of the endless primordial space is second to none, and he discovered a place that fits him as an intermediate mysterious land. As a master of 2 primordial level paths, the ordinary mysterious land time star provides him with little help, and his power has long reached a bottleneck, making progress extremely hard. A suitable intermediate mysterious land is enormously important. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Unknowingly, one era passed. The fluctuation land, within the membrane wall. The nearby Luo Feng, who was assisting with guarding, suddenly noticed that the membrane wall around started to become illusory, and the vast, almost tangible fluctuations outside the membrane wall also began to become illusory, gradually disappearing. The fluctuations are weakening. Is this fluctuation land beginning to hide? Luo Feng carefully observed. The previously extremely solid stone heart, its surface solid material also became illusory and fragile, revealing its inside, a point of incomparably bright light, seemingly a wave. Is this the true face of the core? Luo Feng attempted, allowing a thread of thought to penetrate. The weakening fluctuations made the stone heart extremely fragile, the material on its surface completely vanished, leaving only the core point. Luo Feng's thought encountered no obstruction, successfully touching that point. Buzz. At the instant the thought touched, Luo Feng vaguely saw the entire endless primordial space. But it was seen from the perspective of fluctuation, where in the world of fluctuation, one source world after another appeared inconspicuous, and Luo Feng even felt some stronger mysterious lands. That was. Luo Feng sensed 3 terrifying fluctuation vortexes. These 3 places. They are 3 enormous fluctuation vortexes, remarkably apparent. With Luo Feng's understanding of the endless primordial space territory, he quickly deduced the corresponding locations of these 3 vortexes. Abyss of Destruction, Land of Eternity, Fire Prison Wall. Luo Feng confirmed that these 3 places correspond to the 3 largest fluctuation vortexes. In the world of fluctuation, the fire prison wall emitted endless heat fluctuations, overpoweringly scorching. It spanned the length of hundreds of world groups, exceeded the width of a world group, and everywhere extended various highest-level flame powers. This endless heat fluctuation transmitted, relaying to every corner of the endless space. Whether within the source world life or countless innate primordial lives, the vast majority of them could be born, all have been influenced by the invisible heat fluctuations. The fire prison wall, with its endless heat fluctuations, is actively radiating outwards. Abyss of Destruction, but it devours countless fluctuations. In the world of fluctuations, the abyss of destruction absorbs the intense hatred, killing intent, unwillingness, resentment, and other negative emotions of endless beings. These negative emotions also influence the will of the abyss of destruction. The land of eternity is the key to the sustenance of the endless primordial space. In Luo Feng's perception, the land of eternity balances the fire prison wall and the abyss of destruction, and even indirectly affects all mysterious lands, influencing countless world groups. The existence of the land of eternity is what ensures the endless primordial space can continue to exist eternally. Otherwise, the terrifying energies within the endless primordial space would have long formed recurring energy storms, making it impossible for so many weaker life forms to exist. The fire prison wall, abyss of destruction, land of eternity, they are more like the 3 poles of the endless primordial space. Luo Feng, from the perspective of fluctuations, gained more awareness of the endless primordial space. I need to pay more attention to the abyss of destruction. Ideally, I can pass the 7 layers of test and take control of the abyss of destruction. Luo Feng thought, among these 3 poles, the other 2 places he saw no hope of refining, at least the abyss of destruction showed a direction. Whoosh! While Luo Feng was sensing the world of fluctuations, that point, or rather, that wave completely disappeared. The fluctuation land vanished entirely. The place where Luo Feng and Lord Mo Man stood also returned to a normal time and space. Gone. Luo Feng was somewhat at a loss, as the core of this intermediate mysterious land had greatly enhanced his understanding of the endless primordial space. The fluctuation land seemed to exist in reality. That stone heart seemed unbreakable. But in actuality, it was all a combination of fluctuations. Lord Mo Man said with a smile from the side, once everything's fluctuation surpasses its peak, they disperse and completely vanish. Luo Feng said, I feel like the fluctuation land has completely dissipated. Lord Mo Man looked at Luo Feng, strictly speaking, at the peak of fluctuations, the fluctuation land is most solid. And once the fluctuations decrease, the fluctuation land rapidly disperses. In my estimation of the lowest valley of fluctuations, the fluctuation land should have dispersed throughout the entire endless primordial space. Luo Feng understood, small as a point, large as to spread throughout the endless primordial space. Interesting. Such a perpetually changing mysterious land is indeed unique. Let's go. Lord Mo Man said with a smile. Mo Man, are you confident in refining it? Luo Feng asked. Lord Mo Man shook his head, not enough strength. Even if he managed to cunningly reach the core, he still couldn't refine it. Is there anything I can help with? Luo Feng asked. You've already helped a lot this time. Mo Man smiled. Luo Feng didn't say more and immediately left together with Lord Mo Man. Fluctuation land. With a black cape billowing, Lord Mo Man's eyes gleamed mysteriously. This time I finally know how to refine it. For me, the simplest method is to comprehend the highest level power of the world. Primordial fluctuation Tao, plus a power of the world. This is already the simplest direction. Because Lord Mo Man has perceived every part of the endless primordial space in the form of a wave for countless epochs, his understanding of the world is very high, and he believes the highest level power of the world is his most likely hope. Besides the fluctuation path, to comprehend the power of the world? This path is very difficult, and even endless epochs may not be enough. Lord Mo Man thought, as he had decided to walk down this path. Once successful on this path, with an additional highest level power, along with the support of fluctuation land, his strength would greatly increase. Once I master the power of the world, I won't need Luo Feng's help to enter the core myself. Lord Mo Man thought. Check latest chapters at novelfire.et. After accompanying Lord Mo Man to the fluctuation land, Luo Feng continued to retreat to create combat techniques. After more than 100 epochs, the 5th combat technique has been achieved. In the 28th layer of the Abyss of Destruction, Luo Feng's aura surged rapidly, quickly reaching the state of the main battle avatar. With 5 combat techniques, my entire combat system is now formed. Luo Feng was well aware that even if he were to ponder 1 or 2 more combat techniques, there wouldn't be any significant improvement. Having mastered 2 primordial level Daos and possessing a complete set of 5 combat techniques, his strength had already reached a bottleneck. From now on, even the slightest progress would be extremely difficult. Starlight was also in this state. As for comprehending the 3rd Dao, the hope was too slim. Abyss of Destruction, from the perspective of fluctuations, is one of the 3 poles of the endless primordial space. I wonder if my current strength can reach the deepest level of the Abyss of Destruction. Swoosh! Luo Feng took a step, traversing time and space to enter the deeper 29th layer. Luo Feng slowly descended, overlooking the 29th level of the destruction world. Before him lay a vast expanse of dark red, half-melted metallic land. Most of this expansive land had melted and was flowing slowly. Only some surface areas remained solid, forming islands of metal. This 29th level of the destruction world is a precious mineral deposit, Luo Feng thought. He could sense that the harsh environment here could incinerate a world-level primordial. Yet these metal materials still existed, indicating the extraordinary nature of the materials. But Luo Feng attempted to collect them with a thought, only to find that these metal materials seemed to be one with the earth, unable to be collected. Boom! 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 The flowing metallic land thundered as towering figures emerged from beneath the melted earth, each in a semi-melted state, exuding terrifyingly powerful auras. A total of 20 towering figures appeared, all staring at Luo Feng. Are there really 20 world envoys on this level? Luo Feng was quite surprised. He was the first to break through the 28th level, and as for this 29th level, no strong figure had set foot here before. The environment and the information about the world envoys here were unknown. On the first surface level of the Abyss of Destruction, there are 3,000 world envoys, but as you go deeper, they become fewer in number and stronger in power, Luo Feng sensed. The aura of these 20 towering figures was no less than that of the ancestors. Suddenly, the 20 world envoys moved, transforming into streams of light charging toward Luo Feng. With a single thought, Luo Feng summoned a vast domain. In the past, Luo Feng's realm of life and death radiated a pale cyan glow, best at enhancing comrades' vitality and replenishing their energy reserves. It posed little threat to enemies. But now, Luo Feng's realm of life and death had become a fusion of cyan and black, a combination of two primordial level Daos, significantly increasing its threat to enemies, truly living up to the name realm of life and death. This domain was part of the fifth combat technique, the clone battle technique, of Luo Feng. For Luo Feng, every bit of his power contained spiritual consciousness, like small avatars. As countless powers spread to form a domain, it was as if countless avatars were forming a formation. Thus, the realm of life and death was also categorized within the clone battle technique system. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. The realm of life and death enveloped the space, isolating it from external prying, allowing Luo Feng to freely target the 20 world envoys. Invisible now. This Lord Luo Feng has cast a domain, isolating his actions from prying eyes. When Luo Feng entered the 29th level, several ancestors watched from afar and even spread the footage to their friends. In no time, over 100 ancestors were watching the battle. Below the 28th level of the Abyss of Destruction was a mystery. Luo Feng was the first to enter. All factions wanted to see, and they also wanted to know how strong the cultivator side's Lord Luo Feng was. No one expected Luo Feng would use the realm of life and death to hide his combat process. This Lord Luo Feng is concealing his means, said a woman draped in veils who was watching from afar, somewhat regretful. She was the Yunmo ancestor, not belonging to any faction, protecting her own kin, and seldom participating in conflicts. Yunmo ancestor mastered the highest level of life power. Just with a type of life power, she had not reached the theoretical undying and undying. Because she only excelled in life power, her killing ability was weak. And with her being the only ancestor in her race often suffered bullying. In the most tragic instance, about 2/3 of her kin were devoured. This fueled a murderous intent in Yunmo ancestor, secretly pursuing killing abilities ever since. His accomplishments in life far surpass mine, Yunmo ancestor murmured, and he is very similar to me. The second power I mastered after many long years is the power of destruction. Externally, Yunmo ancestor, who did not participate in conflicts, was known for life power, but unknown to others, she had secretly mastered a form of destructive power, already planning for revenge. I have mastered both the highest level powers of life and destruction. With utmost effort, I might barely break into the top 10. But he masters two primordial level Daos of life and death, far stronger than me. Yunmo ancestor really wanted to see Luo Feng's battle techniques in the Abyss of Destruction, but unfortunately, she could not see them. This Lord Luo Feng is probably now the strongest in the entire endless primordial space of this era. An exotic beast raised its head within a source world, glancing towards the direction of the Abyss of Destruction. Watching their faction struggles is quite interesting, the exotic beast noted. Within the exotic beast resided a unique creature. This creature was a mind-type innate primordial life, born from the intertwining of the spiritual power of countless source world creatures and innate primordial lives, with its life core naturally merged with spiritual power, making it undying and imperishable. It was different from Mogus. Mogus liked to devour the souls of countless lives. It, on the other hand, enjoyed feeling the joys and sorrows, desires and hatreds of countless creatures. It could wander amidst the minds of countless creatures with countless avatars within them, experiencing their spiritual perceptions. For those it admired, it would leave help. Its existence was entirely spirit-based. Therefore, to this day, no ancestor or lord has been able to detect its presence. Not being discovered was also partially because it never killed any life form, nor did it engage in conflicts with any ancestor or lord. Luo Feng could sense over 100 forces prying from afar. His realm of life and death spread, isolating their prying eyes. He intended to give his enemies some surprises in future confrontations and mustn't reveal his techniques so easily. Against the onslaught of the 20 world envoys, Luo Feng took a moment to familiarize himself before slashing them apart, leaving life imprints on the shadow of origin. After gaining control of the 29th level, Luo Feng attempted to collect the precious minerals within this destruction world again, finding it much easier this time as countless rare minerals were collected. Luo Feng collected the most precious part, equivalent to about 1/10 of the entire level's matter. The deeper one goes into the abyss of destruction, the more precious the material comprising the worlds becomes. Luo Feng was quite pleased. Let's proceed to the next layer. Upon descending to the 30th layer, Luo Feng immediately deployed the world domain, enveloping the entire world of this layer, isolating it from any prying eyes. This Luo Feng is really stingy. Just stepping into the 30th layer, he deployed his domain to envelop the entire world, cutting off all prying eyes. The unique aspects of the material composition of this layer's destruction world, how many world envoys there are, everything is now invisible. The various ancestors couldn't help but curse under their breaths. Even without seeing Luo Feng's battle, gaining more understanding of the deeper layers of the destruction world would be beneficial. Yet, who would have thought, Luo Feng kept everything tightly under wraps. Ha ha ha, well hidden. It should be hidden. Jin Yao Yao watched, as he was equally curious about the deeper sections of the abyss of destruction, yet through the long years, he could not delve deeply himself, and naturally wouldn't want those ancestors to easily see the deeper secrets. Indeed, it should be hidden. Ming Huang nodded. The deeper one goes, there might be secrets of the abyss of destruction involved, said a clone of Luo Feng. Those ancestors have sharp eyes. If they were to see the deeper levels, perhaps they could penetrate some secrets. The abyss of destruction was the three extremes that resonated most with Luo Feng, and he naturally did not wish to share intelligence with the outside world. Those ancestors want to explore? If they have the skill, let them explore themselves. Once I finish investigating the abyss of destruction, detailed intelligence will be left in the land of origin, Luo Feng said, though it would only be accessible by the lords. Thank you. Jin spoke up. Among the 8 lords, aside from Luo Feng, Jin had the greatest interest in the abyss of destruction, yet his current strength was not strong enough, unable even to enter the mountain of destruction. As a mysterious land, the abyss of destruction doesn't understand the distinction between primordial level Dao and highest level power. Its natural operations only know to recognize those who grasp the power of destruction, the stronger the better. With just one Dao, Jin was still too weak. Among the over 200 ancestors and lords, being in the top 20 was impressive, but the abyss of destruction's requirements for strength were too high. The threshold of the 7 layers of test was unimaginably high. The abyss of destruction starts with 3,000 world envoys from the first layer. As one goes deeper, the world envoys decrease. The 29th layer had only 20 world envoys, said Starlight. The 30th layer had only 10 world envoys, the 31st layer only 5 world envoys, said Luo Feng. The source of this content is novelfire.net. His primary combat avatar had already left its mark on the shadow of origin of the 31st layer, beginning to collect some precious materials of this layer's world. Only 5 envoys. Yuan was surprised. I am now entering the 32nd layer. The 32nd layer has only 3 world envoys, Luo Feng said. The 32nd layer, this layer has only 3 world envoys. These 3 world envoys, in terms of physical sturdiness, could rival the level of Wulan at Ice Mountain Master, and their explosive might was even comparable to Shoju. 3 incredibly robust Shojus, wielding the power of destruction, furiously attacked Luo Feng. Luo Feng's realm of life and death was also significantly weakened. In the previous layers from the 29th to the 31st, the realm of life and death had worked wonders, as facing group attacks, the domain could target all enemies within. But as he delved deeper, and the number of world envoys decreased while their individual strength rapidly increased, the effectiveness of the realm of life and death was waning. HMPH tilde tilde tilde. The 32nd layer, the world was shrouded in darkness. Under the cover of the realm of life and death, directions were inverted, time and space were chaotic, exerting full binding force on each world envoy, with vague blade shadows standing at various spots, forming a massive blade formation. Countless blade lights suppressed and slaughtered these 3 world envoys. Raw, one of the world envoys opened its mouth like a bottomless abyss, swallowing countless blade lights, reducing the formation's might, but Luo Feng continued to supply energy to maintain the formation's power. Another world envoy's body contorted like lines. These line-like bodies coiled around the entire world and coiled toward Luo Feng. Luo Feng's blade light struck its body, yet its soft, line-like body easily resisted all slashes. HMPH. The last world envoy had already approached Luo Feng, carrying an apocalyptic aura to grasp at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was under great pressure. 1 against 3, each one stronger than Shao-Ju. He was at a disadvantage. Swish swish swish. Luo Feng, draped in a blood-colored robe, used the power of the Blood Crane territory to become unpredictable, with the realm of life and death making his movement technique omnipresent within a small range, and terrifying blade lights attacked the supple line-like World Envoy, as that World Envoy had wrapped its body around the Shadow of Origin. Boom! With an incredibly terrifying explosion, it was one of the forbidden techniques of the primordial battle technique, finally blasting apart a section of that supple, line-like World Envoy's body, leaving a trace imprinted on the Shadow of Origin. Success. It wasn't necessary to completely defeat the World Envoys, just disrupting the World Envoys and imprinting the Shadow of Origin counts as success. This is just the 30-second layer, and it forced me to use the primordial battle technique. Luo Feng looked at the 3 World Envoys returning to normal before him. Now the 3 World Envoys were unbelievably docile, following commands. Luo Feng relaxed at this moment, as the pressure from these 3 World Envoys was indeed quite intense. Neither Starlight nor Shao-Ju could make it past the 28th layer. Although I am the strongest level in the endless primordial space in direct combat, I had to start using clever tricks at the 32nd layer. To seize control of one layer of the destruction world, there are 2 approaches. One is to crush the World Envoy with absolute strength, leaving a mark on the Shadow of Origin. The other is to use clever tactics, evading the World Envoy's obstruction successfully to leave a mark. In this layer, I'm at a disadvantage, so I must use clever tactics, ssnvolfire.net. And what about the even more difficult 33rd layer? Luo Feng wasn't in a hurry to explore but stopped at this 32nd layer to reflect on his combat techniques. Based on some previous battle experience, he began to address some shortcomings in his combat techniques. During the process of addressing these shortcomings, Luo Feng often used the 3 World Envoys as his training partners. After staying on this layer for over 1 epoch and collecting the special products of the destruction world on this layer, Luo Feng then proceeded to the deeper 33rd layer. Lord Luo Feng has proceeded to the 33rd layer. Does the Abyss of Destruction actually have a 33rd layer? How many layers does it actually have? The ancestors and lords were watching in the distance. When there was no life exploring, they only felt that the Abyss of Destruction below was filled with endless energy, extremely tranquil, with nothing to observe. Once Luo Feng broke in, the World Envoys were born through condensation, and only then would the energy of destruction on this layer start to surge. Only then could the outside world catch glimpses of the scene on this layer. It's blocked again. As soon as Lord Luo Feng entered the 33rd layer, he cast his domain to cover the entirety of the layer, isolating all observations. If it were me charging into the 33rd layer, I would also shield it. Such deep layers of the destruction world, how could they be easily revealed to the outside world? These ancient existences exchanged words through transmissions, though under the covering, they couldn't see the situation on the 33rd layer. But at least they understood one point: the Abyss of Destruction has a 33rd layer. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The 33rd layer of the Abyss of Destruction. The realm of life and death thoroughly enveloped every place. Luo Feng looked ahead, where 2 towering figures were forming. One of them bore a 7 to 8 parts resemblance to the giant god emperor, but its form was even more massive. Its entire body was covered in pure black scales, and a pair of scale-armored wings blocked out the sun, exuding terrifying power. The other was an enormous flame avian. When this avian spread its wings, its coverage was even more expansive, with endless flames spreading over 1/3 of this layer of the destruction world, forcibly burning through Luo Feng's realm of life and death. I have explored 33 layers, and the destructive power of these 33 layers is all encompassed in the 34 types of destructive power within the Mountain of Destruction. Furthermore, the World Envoys are reduced to only 2. The Abyss of Destruction should truly have only 34 layers. This was a hypothesis Luo Feng had when he was at the Mountain of Destruction. As he delved deeper into the Abyss of Destruction, his speculation grew increasingly likely. These 2 World Envoys, their auras are more terrifying, each enough to rival me. Luo Feng observed his opponents. These two are distinct forms of this layer's destructive power, one dark, one fiery. Moreover, the two of them have different combat forms, one is in a matter state and the other an energy state, which might relate to their combat techniques. In the Mountain of Destruction, Luo Feng had already grasped the wonders of this layer's destructive power, and he had various assumptions regarding the fighting style of these two world envoys. The flame avian focused on Luo Feng, and with a flap of its wings, its immense wings transformed into endless flames that completely engulfed Luo Feng. Engulfed within endless flame, Luo Feng furrowed his brow slightly. The primordial beast ancestor, one of the 9 emperors, its physical form itself is a domain. This flame messenger is the same, built of flame, and when it unfurls, it exhibits the strongest domain. In terms of suppressive power, it surpasses my realm of life and death by roughly 3-fold. Luo Feng instantly judged. As the flames swept through, the realm of life and death retreated in layers. But Luo Feng wore a blood-colored robe, with a protective energy layer shielding him from the flames. Buzz! The dark messenger, with black scales, gave a slight tremor of its wings and immediately appeared before Luo Feng, its gigantic hand matching Luo Feng's height. It instantly descended upon Luo Feng. Boom! Luo Feng stepped back 2 steps, as his protective energy layer, protective robe, and the muscular and skeletal structure of his body endured the horrific force, with only a slight bleeding on the surface of his skin and minimal energy loss. Such a swift attack! Luo Feng deliberately took this hit with his body, knowing the more he understood his enemy, the easier it was to find their vulnerabilities. Huge physique, extremely fast speed, the strength of might comparable to mine. Luo Feng instantly assessed the enemy's strength. Under the suppression of the fire domain, I'm at a disadvantage facing it. Boom! 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 The dark messenger chased after Luo Feng time and again, its body too massive, with any casual move covering half of Luo Feng's body, and Luo Feng's blade light repeatedly sliced it, leaving cuts and bruises over its form, yet with a constant supply of destruction world energy, it instantly healed completely. Hiss 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 tilde tilde, under the fire domain, wisps of flame formed into small snakes, entangling Luo Feng's limbs, infiltrating every part of Luo Feng's body. Luo Feng was quite vexed. It felt like he was fighting against an equally strong opponent while shackled. I can't get close to the shadow of origin. Luo Feng tried to bypass the dark messenger. However, under the full-scope suppression of the fire domain, Luo Feng couldn't manage to perform a short-distance omnipresence, and once he tried to approach the shadow of origin, the dark messenger was already there intercepting him. If it was one-on-one, with the crane leader's power, Luo Feng's speed would surpass that of the dark messenger. But now it's 1 against 2, and under the suppression of the fire domain, Luo Feng's speed is a step slower than the dark messenger, completely unable to shake off the opponent. Swish tilde tilde. Luo Feng's body suddenly divided into 3 avatars, one of which maintained 80% energy reserve, while the other 2 held only 10% energy reserve. Trying to approach the shadow of origin, the dark messenger couldn't intercept him, because once its power was dispersed, its strength would decay far beyond Luo Feng's, while Luo Feng could maintain his normal physical body with just a 10% energy reserve. The flame messenger's gaze became fierce, and the endless fire domain rapidly constricted. Fire birds, when power is dispersed, transform into domain. Once constricted, the flame snakes binding Luo Feng's hands and feet became increasingly solid, and all 3 avatars were entangled by them. The 2 weaker avatars were directly obliterated, while the strong avatar held its ground against these flame snakes. The main battle avatar recovered to its pinnacle state, and the body surface burst with strands of blade light tearing through these flame snakes, which reformed once again. Each small snake seemed like an ordinary ancestor, and at the moment, dozens of flame snakes were all wrapped around Luo Feng, their power terrifying, making Luo Feng's movement slower than Wulan. There's no way, Luo Feng thought to himself. The physical body turned into energy, all rushing into the billions of shadow of origin floating in the air. But those flame snakes still fearlessly tangled up. Boom! Terror of great destruction swept through. Dozens of flame snakes were instantly obliterated by 70 to 80%, and the flame messenger's power decreased by half. However, the energy of destruction world continuously replenished the flame messenger. Can't fight anymore. Luo Feng had only 2% of energy reserve left, So he took a step back, forcibly breaking through the barriers of time and space and returned to the 30-second level. Leaving was easy, but approaching the shadow of origin was incredibly difficult. Luo Feng has returned to the 30-second level. The 33rd level has returned to calm. The many ancient beings could perceive that the 33rd level had returned to calm, making it impossible to spy at all. It seems this 33rd level is very tough, and Luo Feng failed too. Perhaps he succeeded and returned to the 32nd level to collect resources. Since the ancestors couldn't probe, they could only speculate. Successfully exploring the 33rd level indicates that Luo Feng at least mastered the 32nd level, something the other ancestors and lords look up to. After all, the one only second to Luo Feng, Shoju, has mastered the 27th level. The 32nd level. Luo Feng's energy reserves rapidly restored, and he frowned. The Dark Messenger and the Flame Messenger can both rival me. One has a close combat style, while the other excels at domain and restraint. Luo Feng was very troubled, as the cooperation of such strong characters was too difficult to handle. Moreover, they have destruction world energy supply, not afraid of energy consumption. How can I shake them off? Luo Feng contemplated. The Flame Messenger's domain is stronger than the Primordial Beast Emperor, one of the 9 emperors. Facing such a domain is simply impossible to escape. Cannot shake off the Flame Messenger, but the Dark Messenger is still possible. My only advantage is that my methods can be more intricate. Luo Feng contemplated, and a combat plan targeting these two messengers gradually took shape. The latest _EP_sods are on _the n0velfire.et. Let's do it. Luo Feng returned to pinnacle state, took another step, and ravaged his way back into the 33rd level. The 33rd level of the Abyss of Destruction, Luo Feng just came in and instantly enveloped the surroundings with the realm of life and death, while holding the sky-splitting saber and gazing into the distance, where distant majestic world envoy figures emerged. Seal. Luo Feng stretched out his hands, and numerous blade light flew from his fingers, forming a formation with a total of 30 blade lights, isolating space and time, severing all energy transmission, sealing the area around the Dark Messenger. Each blade light contained 1% of Luo Feng's energy reserve, consuming 3% overall for the formation. This was the triple absolute blade array of Luo Feng's clone battle technique. The formation was divided into 3 layers. Even if one layer was damaged, the other 2 could replace it. Additionally, Luo Feng could continuously supply energy. This blade array primarily served to trap the enemy. The Dark Messenger just formed and looked at the surrounding cage of blade formation in shock. Boom! Its hoof claw fiercely kicked the blade array, and the blade light layered densely, filled with endless life spirituality, dispersing and weakening the impact through the entire formation, easily resisting it. The blade array isolated inside and outside, severing space and time and energy channels, even causality couldn't connect. While maintaining the blade array, Luo Feng also sensed that as the 2 world envoys formed, the shadow of origin appeared too. Swoosh! Luo Feng couldn't be bothered to waste time and darted directly toward the shadow of origin. Swish! The fire domain covered a vast area, restraining Luo Feng, with flame snakes appearing on the body surface. Sever! Luo Feng suddenly burst with blade light on the body surface, each slicing at a flame snake, and while the flame snakes fractured and regrouped, the fire blade light continued attacking. At that moment, hundreds of blade light surrounded Luo Feng, filled with spirituality, pursuing these flame snakes. These hundreds of blade light were each formed by dual blade light in bright and dark. What could be seen was the shadow saber combat technique that aimed accurately, locking onto the target, chasing and striking relentlessly until energy depleted. What couldn't be seen was the life-cutting blade light. Severing the vitality and spirituality of these flame snakes, the entangling flame snakes around Luo Feng grew sluggish and were repeatedly severed, greatly reducing their blocking ability. Protected by hundreds of blade light, Luo Feng rushed toward the shadow of origin. The Dark Messenger, with its robust physical body, was temporarily trapped by the triple absolute blade array. Although its techniques were extraordinarily fierce, consuming the blade array greatly, it couldn't break through the formation barriers. The flame messenger, proficient in domain, was weaker in direct combat. Even though it maneuvered the fire domain with full effort to obstruct, it could only watch helplessly as Luo Feng reached the shadow of origin and left a mark imprinted within it. At the moment of imprinting, the dark messenger and flame messenger also returned to calm, henceforth surrendering to Luo Feng. It's done. Luo Feng breathed a sigh of relief. These two world envoys were skilled only in one direction of the destroyer power of this level, their methods relatively single-focused. That's why I managed to leverage my technique advantage to succeed against the odds, Luo Feng thought. The abyss of destruction at the 33rd level, which I've experienced, from 300 world envoys at the first level to now, where 2 world envoys, these envoys used only a portion of the power of the world of their level, making their methods somewhat flawed. Of course, despite the flaws, it's illustrated that neither the Starlight nor Shoju could break through the 28th level. It indicates that faced with overwhelming strength disparity, intricate techniques couldn't take hold. Luo Feng could succeed because he was on par with the Dark Messenger and the Flame Messenger, relying on the intriguing techniques. According to my estimate, the 34th level should have only a single world envoy. This world envoy should possess all the abilities of the power of the world at this level. Luo Feng thought it over, then took a step into the next level. At that moment, all forces within the endless primordial space sensed the updated layer of destruction world, also understanding that Luo Feng had conquered the 33rd level and stepped into the 34th level. The 34th level of the abyss of destruction. The realm of life and death enveloped the surroundings, isolating all external probing. Luo Feng looked around. It was a dim, dark land, solid as though a cohesive entity, the surface glistening with a faint black mist representing the materialized essence of boundless grudges and resentment, where each portion of the land's matter was the solid manifestation of grudges and resentment. Simultaneously, an extremely majestic figure condensed. World Envoy. Luo Feng observed the figure. This figure, draped in a black cloak, with dark red light flowing across its surface, containing countless life's whales, overlooking Luo Feng, its face obscured beneath the cloak. Indeed, only one world envoy. Luo Feng concluded. Here is the deepest layer of the abyss of destruction. The cloaked figure spoke. Since my inception, I've awaited here. You are the first ultimate life form to arrive. This video will end here.